So over the weekend, I went out and I did something I said that I was never going to do, and that was buy an off the track thoroughbred. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't necessarily encourage off the track thoroughbreds for most people. I'm a farrier by trade, and I work on a lot of these horses, and they often need a lot of help. Their bodies, their feet, particularly for some of them, also mentally and emotionally. It's nothing personal against the breed. I'm not a thoroughbred hater. I just find that most people jump in without understanding just how much it takes to get these horses feeling good in their body, so that they can go on to have a very happy, healthy second career. There's a ton of people out there doing it. You can go see that. There's the Retired Racehorse Project. You see a lot of these horses out there doing second jobs, seemingly no issue. But for me, in my perspective, based on my education and experience, usually when I come across an off-the-track thoroughbred and I put my hand on their body, I just feel a lot of things that I would prefer not to feel. So anyway, when I decided to buy this horse this weekend for fun, I kind of tossed a couple videos up on TikTok. I'm not much for social media or making videos or creating content. I live in my happy little bubble here on my farm on my own. I like to be in the moment with horses. I like to flow. So I don't love the idea of keeping track via video. But because of some of the text I got, because of some of the messages I got, because of some of the questions I got from a lot of my clients, I thought maybe it might be worth trying to document this journey. So why did I buy her? What do I see in her body? What do I see in her feet? What path am I going to take with this horse? I thought it might be worth sharing, especially because I thought maybe it might be able to give people a deeper understanding of why I am so cautious when people tell me that that's what they'd like to purchase. Because thoroughbreds, they are a wonderful breed. They have a great work ethic. They have a heart of gold. Most of these horses are very well traveled, and the life experience that we want our horses to have, they often have. Most of them are great for the farrier. They cross tie, they trailer, travel, they stall. All of these things that we need our horses to do is kind of already taken care of. And although they need retrained, they are familiar with a saddle and a rider. And depending on where the horse came from, the type of trainer, a lot of them are exposed to normal farm life, tractors, little ATVs and rangers and gators and dogs and cats and, you name it, they're used to it. And a lot of them go walk, trot, canter, both directions. Some might even know some lateral movement. So there's a lot of positive things about thoroughbreds. But I, like many other people, are concerned about the workload on young skeletons. And, we make arguments all day long about bone density and, actually using pressure of work to help develop bone. But another thing to be considered that I don't think is considered enough is the fascial system. I believe it was Ivana Ruddock who said, during her dissections, that in younger horses, that fascia is like a spider web, So you're asking a very young animal to take weight, work very hard, perform very hard, and that has long-standing implications on the body. And what I have found is that many of my clients are not prepared for the investment that needs to go into helping support that body, reducing and the compensation patterns and building healthier habits. Their gut, I think, is a big thing. A lot of the ones I've met are really, they look like a classic ulcery, magnesium deficient horse. So there's just a lot that has to happen. And I think if you're like me, you don't really have the budget for a big fancy warm blood. And these are sport horses. They are built to perform. And I think we think, well, this is what I can afford. And if I can't buy myself a sport horse, I'll make one. And I think that's okay. But I think we have to realize what we're saving in purchase price, we're going to put in other ways. So, I guess I'll just give this a shot, and I'll show you guys the journey if I can be consistent enough. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I might change my mind part of the way through. So anyway, while I'm on the topic and chatting, why did I buy this horse? You guys, I have zero good reasons for why I bought this horse. I've never been interested in an off-the-track thoroughbred. I wasn't really shopping. She kept popping up in my social media newsfeed. Her ad did, the people that were advertising her. And there was just something about her that caught my attention. I just really liked her, and she kept popping up, and I was surprised because these horses usually sell in a week or two. And she popped up in my feed for about a month. So I inquired and asked for a video. And in the video, she wasn't really that impressive. Her little in-hand jog video, she was really like lackadaisical, kind of looking around. But you know how some of them you see kind of get a little jiggy, a little bouncy. They kind of have that race energy to them still a little bit. She just didn't have that. They did have some video of her turned loose in an arena. They were trying to get her to trot. She's too busy checking things out to care too much. I could see in the videos that she was lame. And when I say lame, she's not head bobby lame, but to me, lameness is a gait abnormality, and she absolutely has that. But again, I was just sort of drawn to her calm demeanor and her energy, trying to figure out how to describe it. She doesn't necessarily like look to humans for connection, but she's also like kind enough and polite enough and acknowledges sort of that you're there. And then she's this mix of like boldness but also insecurity, but it's not insecurity that shows up in this like anxious blah kind of way. It's sort of just like, okay, I'm not sure, but I'll be good. And I don't know. She just sort of tugged at my heartstrings. So we drove down to Ohio and I put my hands on her, so tight everywhere. Her poor little back, like the muscles were just fasciculating. Her neck was super tight. When I ran my hands down her legs, the left front felt a little warmer than the right front leg did, but no like lumps, bumps, swelling, or anything like that. What I noticed about when she walks, she kind of walks like she has a stick up her butt. So like her hind end swings side to side, like she steps wide with each hind leg. And if you know anything about movement, it should be a little bit more of like an infinity motion. Like a circular figure 8, and that doesn't happen. Like her pelvis or her hips or something, it doesn't roll. I haven't dug into that enough for sure to kind of figure out what that is. But there's definitely something funny there. And then she is short on the right hind that I've noticed, particularly in the trot. And then like a lot of other thoroughbreds that I see, when she trots and canters, the hind legs seem to have a more abrupt, snappy type of motion. So like she doesn't really like step or reach under herself well. I'm sure she has insanely tight hamstrings. So anyway, I bought her knowing that she's a project. She is already barefoot, but her feet are not in good shape. They're very chipped up, and they did tell me, you know, if you want to work her, she needs to go back in shoes. I am a farrier, but I don't want a shoe. I can do glue-ons. I prefer just to do barefoot boots. If I have clients that need horses to go in shoes for some reason, I have other talented farriers that I recommend. So I don't know how I'll approach her feet just yet. If she needs to be shod, I'll probably just do glue-ons on my own, even though they're the bane of my existence. They're not my favorite thing to do. But because she is already barefoot and she actually moves decently, come on, kitty cat. I think we can manage it through either glue-ons or boots or something like that. So the plan for now is to just work on getting her into a herd and into 24/7 turnout, and to get her gut feeling better. She's a very picky eater, and what I found is when horses don't like clean up their meals and they kind of leave stuff behind, that to me is a sign that their tummy isn't feeling so great. So we'll get her treated for ulcers. I'm not even going to bother scoping. I think that's silly. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Then I'll work on her nutrition, you know, getting her the nutrients I think she needs, you know, magnesium, that sort of thing. I'm also going to start with Beamer and red light and very gentle body work, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to attempt to edit this in with some little bit of video that I have. At some point, I'll have to see if I can get a little help and take some like before videos, so I can show like how she's moving and that sort of thing. I do have some of her like moving freely around the arena and out in the paddock, but I'll try to do some that are like on a straight line and from the side, because it really will be interesting to see how her body changes and how her movement changes over the next year or so. And yes, I mean years. Obviously small changes happen, but progress with horses I always think of in terms of years, not days, not weeks, not months. It takes time and consistency to develop any horse. So yeah, I guess we'll see how many of you are interested in following the journey, and if you're not, that's okay too. I don't really know how to do this stuff, but we're gonna give it a go and see what happens. All right, so let's see. So here she is getting off the trailer. I think this video shows a little bit some of the weird hind end movement she has. It's also fair to keep in mind she had been stalled at the facility that I had purchased her from, and then she did a 4-hour trailer ride home. So I think she was extra stiff in this video. There she was just a little, she was going from light to dark and got a little worried. No big deal. But you can see that waddle and how she swings more like side to side. And I think she swings further to the right than she does to the left. But overall, I was very happy with how she came off the trailer. She lets me kind of walk her around the arena. She's being pretty polite. She gets a little pushy with her shoulder, so I reach out and just touch her just for a little body awareness. But, you know, I'm not handling her with a chain, which they did at the previous facility. She sees herself in the mirror there. She sees herself in the big set of mirrors. But she just checks everything out, and I feel like she's really, really reasonably behaved for a young horse.
Oh, I didn't see any
in
mirrors.
A new place. And so I don't know if I mentioned it, but she's going to be 6 in April. She had either 27 or 28 starts. She earned about like 64 grand. Her JC name is Yo-Yo Mun. They were calling her Yo-Yo. I think we're going to call her Veya. I feel like she needed a softer name. She is going to have to fight probably that red mare stereotype, which I think is silly, but so we just give her a soft name to kind of offset that. So this is her first turnout in the arena. I brought her home late on Sunday. She stalled. This was Monday morning. I had to work. I obviously didn't want to turn her out in a paddock and have to leave. I wanted to be around to watch her when she got turned out for the first time. So I don't usually turn horses loose in here because of the mirrors, but she needed a minute to be able to stretch her legs. She's moving way more here than she ever did for them in the video they tried to get when she was for sale. So clearly she's athletic. It will be really amazing to see what she can do when she actually is unlocked in her body, because she is carrying a lot of restrictions and a lot of compensation patterns. So girl can move. She's a little bit dragon mode. That's okay. It's super cold. She's up in a stall. She's in a new place. So again, I was actually happy
get your willies
to
out,
see
girlfriend.
her move about and just take a minute to stretch those legs. Checking things out. I think the dogs were back on the other side making some noise, so she was a little curious about what was going on over there.
Is that it? Go have some fun.
My daughter had a little barrel set up there with some grooming stuff that I didn't think to move beforehand, so she just kind of checks everything out. For me personally, I like horses that have a lot of life and forward energy, but aren't going to kill you or kill themselves in the process. If really any rider should want that, because if you can direct that, that is what allows you to get things done with a horse. Unfortunately, I think we've tried to dumb down a lot of our horses to make up for our lack of commitment to horsemanship. I know some people won't agree with that, but that's how I feel. You should want a little spice and a little life. It shouldn't be dangerous, but you have to have something to direct somewhere. Particularly me, I have a stronger interest in dressage, not for competition, but I just like the work done well and done correctly and not rushed. I think really promotes a lot of soundness and longevity on our horses and really develops a nice, confident horse. And this was her first turnout. She's got a blankie coming, but for now she's wearing one that's a little bit big for her. That is her future herd on the other side of the fence. That is my young Trakehner and our older Halflinger. And I'm hoping these, my Trakehner and this mare can be buddies so that the Halflinger doesn't get run around. My Trakehner mare loves to play, and the Halflinger's just at a point in her life where she would rather eat. So hopefully these two will have some fun with each other. But this was relatively uneventful. I was super happy. There was some squealing and stuff, but, you know. And here's her just in the stall when I brought her home.